In a secluded valley embraced by misty mountains and serene bamboo groves, a Zen monastery stood as a sanctuary of peace and enlightenment. Its history, rich with tradition and practice, was woven into the very fabric of the landscape. The monastery was known for nurturing the deepest understanding of the self and the universe, guided by the wisdom of its revered Zen master, Wisho. His teachings, though often wrapped in simplicity, were profound and transformative. One crisp autumn morning, the tranquility of the monastery was interrupted by the arrival of a traveler. Clad in a cloak of opulent fabric and adorned with various trinkets of apparent importance, the traveler approached with a swagger that spoke volumes about his self-importance. His name was Ryoji, a scholar from a distant land, renowned for his knowledge of the world's philosophies and his ability to debate on any intellectual topic. Ryoji had heard tales of Zen master Aisho's wisdom, and fueled by a sense of superiority, he was determined to impress the master with his own intellect. Ryoji's entrance was marked by a deliberate display of grandeur. He spoke with a voice that carried an air of arrogance, expounding on complex theories of existence, the nature of reality, and the essence of enlightenment. He peppered his speech with terms from various schools of thought, each more obscure than the last, expecting that his erudition would elicit admiration. Zen master Aisho, with his serene demeanor and perceptive eyes, listened quietly. There was a gentle smile on his lips, an expression that revealed nothing of his thoughts. When Ryoji finally paused, the master invited him to partake in a traditional tea ceremony, a practice that was as much about the art of conversation as it was about the tea itself. As they settled into the garden's serene setting, Aisho began the process of making tea with graceful movements. The subtle sounds of the tea kettle and the steam rising in delicate wisps created an atmosphere of calm. The master poured tea into Ryoji's cup with meticulous care, his movements precise and deliberate. The tea flowed and the cup began to fill. Yet Aisho continued to pour, the liquid rising higher and higher until it began to spill over the rim. Ryoji, initially transfixed by the master's seemingly careless action, soon found himself astonished as tea began to cascade onto the table and onto his hands. "Stop! The cup is already full!" Ryoji exclaimed, his voice tinged with both confusion and irritation. Aisho, unperturbed by the situation, simply continued his action for a moment longer before setting the teapot down. He looked at Ryoji with calm, unblinking eyes and said, "Just as this cup cannot hold more tea while it is already full, your mind cannot receive true wisdom while it is brimming with false knowledge." The words hung in the air, and Ryoji's expression shifted from one of shock to one of dawning realization. He was used to being the center of intellectual discourse, and the notion that his own mind might be obstructing his path to enlightenment was both humbling and profound. Aisho then began to explain his analogy in a manner that wove together the threads of Zen philosophy with practical insight. "False wisdom," Aisho began, "is like the overflowing tea. It is dense and fills up space, preventing anything new from entering. When we cling to our own ideas and beliefs, no matter how sophisticated they may seem, we close ourselves off to genuine understanding. True wisdom requires an openness and a willingness to let go of our preconceived notions, just as the cup must be emptied before it can hold more tea." As Ryoji listened, the metaphor of the overflowing cup began to resonate deeply within him. His previous encounters with scholars and philosophers had always been about winning debates and showcasing intellect. But here, in the simplicity of the tea ceremony, he was confronted with a different kind of challenge, a challenge to confront the limitations of his own mind. The days that followed were transformative for Ryoji. Under the guidance of Zen master Aisho, he engaged in the monastery's daily routines and practices with a newfound humility. He participated in meditation sessions, where he learned to quiet the incessant chatter of his mind, and he embraced the monastic duties with a spirit of service rather than self-promotion. Through these practices, Ryoji began to understand the depth of Aisho's teachings. He experienced moments of clarity where the complexity of his previous beliefs dissolved into simple truths. The art of letting go, the practice of mindfulness, and the acceptance of the present moment became his new tools for understanding. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains and the first stars began to appear, Ryoji sat in the monastery's garden, reflecting on his journey. The peaceful ambiance of the garden, the gentle rustling of leaves, and the distant sound of a flowing stream created an atmosphere of profound stillness. Ryoji realized that the true essence of wisdom was not in the accumulation of knowledge, but in the openness to experience and the ability to embrace simplicity.